All right, welcome back to AnimeCons TV. It's been a while since we've been able to do an in-person interview. We're at Otakon 2021, and we're speaking with the head of AnimEigo, Robert Woodhead. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining me.
My pleasure.
So you've been in the anime industry for quite some time. I still remember a shirt that was probably at least 10 years old now that I got from you guys that was Anime Your Way for 15 years. And that shirt's since been retired because it's been so long, but you've been around for a while. How did you start going to conventions?
We started to go to conventions when they started to do conventions. I think the first one was the first AnimeCon in California somewhere, and like most of the things related to our company, it was one of these, seems like a good idea at the time thing. And actually, the biggest memory I have of it was the fact that we were the only people there that just happened to have some anime cells for sale. And apparently nobody in American fandom had ever seen them before. So it got pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's just like most things in fandom, it's kind of this organic from the bottom up type of thing, and we just kind of do what we think is the right thing to do and see what happens. And we've been very fortunate in that, we're still here.
Yeah, you guys have evolved a lot over time too. Just how the model has taken shape and everything like that. So there's been a very different model. It seems like you think you have an idea and then all of a sudden a new format comes out, or just delivery system, or what fans are willing or able to buy too.
Well, yeah, but again, it's just like this seems like a good idea, or our company was started as a joke. Just because we started the company for shits and giggles, and to have a little fun, and just things evolved that way. And I don't think our philosophy has really changed all that much in terms of like when we decide to do something, we decide to do it because we think it's an interesting thing to do, and we can somehow convince ourselves that we might actually make money on it, so we'll be able to do another project later on. So we never wanted to be the biggest company or conquer the world or whatever. It was always about just having something interesting to do every day.
So, again, since you've been to many conventions, do you have any special memories, either something you think was like kind of a crowning moment of awesome, or just one of the funniest things you've ever seen, or something that kind of really endeared you to the fans, anything like that? Well,
one of the downsides of being in the industry and going to a lot of conventions is they all kind of blur. We have a joke inside the company that we refer to it as the sausage factory. It's the old story of like, once you know how the sausage is made, you'll never want to eat it again. And we actually warn people because we often invite interested fans to come and work on projects. We've been doing that on all of the crowdfunded Blu-ray projects, of giving people an opportunity if they really want to come and do some of the pre-production work. We make an opportunity to do that. But one of the things we warn them is if you really, really, really love this anime, don't do it, because after you have to watch it 37 times, you're going to hate it. So, it's really hard for me to come up with one moment of awesomeness, because it's just been a sea of general decency, in terms of I don't think I've ever really had a bad interaction with somebody else at a convention. Maybe I'm just lucky, but nobody has ever been an asshole to me at a convention. Do not take that as a challenge. So, you know, I at every convention, even though, yeah, it is kind of a job for me now, so it is sausage making. There's always like one or two conversations that are like generally like really good you know how it is.
Yeah.
There'll be one or two really great conversations where I learn something, or somebody has an interesting insight on something, and it may not be anything to do with anime. You know, I'm not the most social person, despite the way I can kind of put it on for a while when I'm doing a panel or something like that. But in reality, I'm really, you know, very introverted, and so like a couple of days at a convention is my limit. You kind of get overloaded. I'll have to go off and be alone for a while sometimes. But that said, I mean, and it's one of the reasons that I still occasionally do conventions, is that I know that I'm going to have like one or two really good social interactions, which will keep me for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
You know?
One of the best lessons I was ever told by another person within the industry was, he said, your fellow fans will always find a way to surprise you in a way that recharges your batteries, so to speak, and just really, you know, have something in depth like that. And it can be some amazing moment, or it can be just a good conversation while waiting in line for an event.
And it's nice to see people who are enthusiastic about something, and that is an energy that you can feed off of, you know. So yeah, I mean, you know, I couldn't go to conventions every week, but a couple a year, that's just.
So you have gone to, you know, like we said earlier, you've gone to many conventions and stuff like that. Is there anything you see that either you wish more conventions would do, or maybe by the opposite, you wish conventions would try and avoid doing?
That's a really difficult question. You could get me into a lot of trouble with that question, and that's why I'm not going to answer that question.
Fair enough.
No. Oh my goodness. I'd almost say that that's something I would like want to think about for a few days, you know, because by and large, sometimes conventions get a little weird and chaotic, but that is part of the fun. I mean, I guess all I can really say is that convention organizers should always be looking for new ways to make the convention interesting, both to the guests and to the attendees. And how they do that, well, they're the experts, not me. But all I can say is that by and large, I think they do a pretty good job.
I think so too. You know, there's always new ideas coming out too. So
yeah, I mean, you just try it and see if it works, and you know, if the fans burn your convention to the ground, well, okay, well, next year we'll try something different.
And lastly, is there anything you would like to promote or tell people where to follow you or anything like that?
Well, if you want to follow at AnimEigo on Twitter, that's where we announce the weird stuff that we're doing. It's really low volume, a couple tweets a week, maybe. The latest project is the Blu-ray of Maddox.
Can't wait for my copy.
That is kind of special for us, since Maddox was the first title we ever released.
wow.
And I'm never quite sure if it was the first subtitle anime to be released in the US or came out at about the same time as what was the other one that came out right about the same time? Oh, God, I think basically they were released about the same time and kind of like from opposite sides of the country, whatever. But it's kind of a special title for us, and so we've been putting a lot of effort into what we call combat archaeology, of like trying to dig up materials. We've actually managed to get like 130 pages of sete for the show.
Wow!
And when we did the Kickstarter for it, we thought we might be able to collect 30, but then through a very complicated chain of events, which was the director, Mr. Aramaki, recommended that we use an illustrator named Mercy Rabbit, who does these amazing mecha illustrations, to do a brand new illustration for it. And I actually just this morning got the final version of that. I'll be showing it at the panel. And so but Mercy has this big social media following in Japan, so we asked them to put out a tweet saying, if you manage to find any sete, and because of that, 2 separate groups of fans in Japan who kind of have a hobby of preserving all of these old materials. They go like, oh. And so we got like all these 1,200 DPI scans of most of sete, not all of them. There's still a few that we don't have, but we just got another email this morning saying that they found some more, in the locked filing cabinet, and so we're going to get those in a couple of weeks. And so part of the crowd production team job has been cleaning up all the dust specks on the sete, and I just started. My wife Natsumi has been plowing through the translation, because we translate all of the animators' notes.
Oh wow!
And so she's been plowing through those, and I've been typesetting them. And we're probably going to do a large format art book too, because a lot of people have decided that they really like it in large. So it's going to be like about this thick. God, I don't even want to know how much that's going to cost us to print.
It is fascinating to see how the fans now, like the way kind of the fan culture and also just social media and stuff, you can put out the call for stuff, and you can find resources that you may never have even realized were out there now, and it just that stuff that might have just been gone forever resurfaces or something because someone's passionate about that.
Well, it's all about the network effect. I mean, AnimEigo, when we started our company before the World Wide Web. Okay, we're older than the web, and at that time, the only way to talk to other anime fans was Usenet, newsgroup, rec.arts.anime, which is how we recruited the first few people who worked with us, and 9600 baud modems, which was top of the line for the time. And just like now, it's just like you can, the network effects are something that you can ask a question and get an answer from somebody like 5 links away from you in 24 hours.
Right.
And that, for the historical aspect of preserving these things and collecting them, which is one of the reasons we do these Blu-ray projects, is that one of the end results is this digital archive of all of the materials, and it's all. We have a wiki, and it's all there, and there's a link to like the original source file, high resolution, like bazillions of pixels images, so to preserve it, so that 20 or 30 or 40 years from now, when somebody decides they want to write history of this stuff, maybe the one document that they really, really need, you know, like the original pitch document for some show is going to be, they'll be able to find it.
And I know I said that was my last question, but I did think of another one.
Okay, go ahead.
So we're recording this at Otakon, and one of the properties you guys have worked with, you know, you put out is Otakon Video, where Otakon gets its name. There we go. Do you guys have is it a kind of a fun relationship to know that because of something you've helped release and get out there has been kind of the genesis for one of the larger events or just do you have any interesting relationship because you are the rights holder to this property and it's something that they start and end the convention with every year?
Well, I actually don't know exactly, you know, which came first, the chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
Whether they thought, well, we'll call it Otakon because we're otaku, and then Otakon Video and stuff like that. But you know, we're obviously super happy and that they do that, and we think it's kind of a cool thing. And so obviously, you know, whenever they call us up saying, can you know, help us out with something, we go, of course. And that's a pretty much reciprocal thing. So, you know, that's, I think that it just goes into this seems to be, at least with the fan groups and a lot of the smaller companies, there's a very collegial and good sort of cooperative relationship. You know, when you stumble upon something and you know that's going to help somebody else, you send them an email.
Yeah.
And you know, I personally, for me, that's kind of the kind of business style and personal style that I have, so that works out very well.
Yeah, because if one person helps the industry, it helps everybody.
Yeah, and also you know that, you know, if you help somebody out, they're either going to pay it back to you at some point or pay it forward to somebody else. Yeah. And if they don't, then the word gets around pretty quick because it is a small world. Mm-hmm. So there's that aspect to it, which is very nice.
Well, thank you for taking the time with us. Everyone, make sure you keep an eye out with AnimEigo. They're continuing to do great projects. I know I've been doing everything they've been crowdfunding, so I've got some great stuff on my shelf I've really enjoyed. And once again, Robert, thank you for taking the time for meeting with us today.
My pleasure.